Products featured in today's video were provided by Hasbro for the purposes of this review. Hey guys, I am Pixel Dan, and today I've got a very special Empire Strikes Back 40th anniversary box from the folks over at Hasbro. Really cool box that contains all of the brand new 40th anniversary Star Wars Black Series figures from The Empire Strikes Back, one of my favorite Star Wars films, probably one of your favorite Star Wars films. So we're going to open this box up and we're going to pull out all of the figures included. Now, as you can see, these figures are mostly just reissues. Most of the figures in this particular wave have already been released in the past, but what we've got going on here is in some cases they've got new deco. They've definitely taken advantage of the new face print technology, so they have newly sculpted heads on some of these guys. So we're essentially getting better versions of a lot of figures that were already released. In addition to that, we do have two brand new figures in the Hoth Rebel Soldier and the Snowspeeder pilot Luke Skywalker. So these are all the 6-inch scale action figures, and instead of coming in the window boxes that most Star Wars Black figures come in, these come on the retro-styled card backs that resemble the old Kenner action figures. So all of the figures in this new 40th anniversary wave are inside of this box, and Hasbro also threw in a couple of little cardboard backdrops for photos that I could take with the figures. It's just something kind of fun that they included in there that's extra. I don't believe those backdrops are going to be for sale. Like I said, they're just cardboard pieces, but I'll make sure I take some photos of the figures once we open them up. So with that being said, let's pull all of these figures outside of the packaging. So here you can see we've got the entire group from the new 6-inch Star Wars Black Series 40th anniversary Empire Strikes Back collection. Wow, that's a mouthful. So here's what we've got. We've got the TIE Fighter pilot, we've got the AT-AT driver, we've got Lando Calrissian, we've got R2-D2 with a nice Dagobah kind of dirty paint wash going on there. We've got Bespin Luke Skywalker, we've got Yoda, we've got our Hoth Princess Leia, we've got our Bespin Han Solo, we've got our new Rebel Soldier over here, the Hoth Rebel Soldier, and then we've got our Snowspeeder pilot, Luke Skywalker. So, really cool stuff here. Like I said, a lot of these are just reissues, but it's cool to get some of these over again because, like I said, we've got brand new head sculpts that take better advantage of the modern kind of face print technology that Hasbro's been using. Like Bespin Luke here is a massive improvement over the one that was released previously. But a lot of these are still sharing a lot of the same sculpts that we've seen before. For example, we've got R2-D2 and Yoda again. We've had these figures over and over again. And yes, R2-D2's got a new paint deco, but he's still, I don't know, he's still that same R2-D2 that seems slightly out of scale. And same with Yoda. Yoda's a bit too tall. Yoda needs to be a little shorter to actually fit in proper scale. But you already know what to expect with these guys because we've had these before. But why don't I go ahead and kind of look at them one by one just to kind of show you guys an up-close look at each of these figures. All right, so we'll start off with Bespin Luke here since I was talking about him. And I think the main thing we want to focus on here is definitely that new head sculpt. If any of you picked up the previous one, you could see it kind of stands out because this is a brand new head sculpt. I believe the hair is like a separate piece this time. It actually looks a bit more accurate this time around. And they are taking advantage of that face print technology, which looks pretty decent. It looks pretty good on here. Obviously, these things could always be a little bit better, but that's definitely a massive improvement over what we had previously with a Bespin Luke Skywalker action figure. The figure still has that same body as before, does come with the included lightsaber. He's got the blaster, and of course the lightsaber does actually have the blade as well, so we can plug the blade in there if you don't want to have it hanging from his belt, and that way you can actually have him holding on to his lightsaber accessory. The rest of the figure looks pretty good. Same body as before. like I said. So you should already know what to expect as far as articulation and everything goes there to get some pretty cool poses with your figure. Okay, so here's Yoda again. We've had him in the past. He's still a really nice looking figure as far as the sculpt of the face goes. I do really like that quite a bit. I think the paint deco looks nice and clean on this guy. So that's all good stuff right there. He does, of course, come with a soft goods robe there. His articulation is okay. I wish I could get his hands a little closer together because I'd love for him to actually be posed with, both hands on top of the cane. Kind of like a classic pose for Yoda, but he can't really pull it off because the articulation doesn't really allow for it. But he does have kind of like his robe sculpted underneath there, like on the legs and everything. Does actually have like swivels in the thighs there, no bends in the knees or anything like that. So he comes with that little cane like I showed you. He does come with the snake, which is a great nod to the vintage Kenner Yoda action figure. And then he still comes with a lightsaber, even though this is an Empire Strikes Back Yoda. It's an odd choice, but I suppose if you prefer your Yoda flipping around and having battles with Count Dooku, this still allows you to buy a Yoda that comes with a lightsaber. Okay, so that brings us over here to R2-D2. Again, it's exactly the same R2-D2 we've been getting ever since the Black Series first launched, but they did give him a nice, dirty paint job this time to kind of resemble Dagobah. So if you do want a bit of a different deco with your R2, at least we've got that going on here. You can remove the scope from the top if you want to, and in its place, you can just kind of plug in this piece to cover up the hole in his head. He does still have the opening doors there on his torso, his body, I guess that's what you would call it, and you can pull out the little bits and pieces there, which is pretty cool. It's really interesting how the doors kind of look clean, other than like around it, but the rest of them's kind of dirty there. And then when, swiveling the head around lowers the third leg there so that you can pose him with all three legs out. So again, it's the exact same R2-D2 we've seen in the past, just with a brand new paint job. So that brings us over here to Lando Calrissian. Again, same figure as before, still has the same cape. It's a hard cape here. He didn't get a cloth treatment on his cape. It's got a nice kind of bright, almost metallic-y gold paint deco on the inside. You can see it's pliable plastic. It just kind of rests over his shoulders there. It doesn't really clip on or anything like that. It basically just sits there on his shoulders, but it does look pretty nice. He does include his blaster there, of course. And again, just like with the others, the big highlight here with this particular figure is that he's got that new head sculpt with the kind of the better likeness on the character. We got a nice Billy D. Williams likeness going on there. Okay, the Hoth Leia is pretty fantastic. She's certainly one of my favorite ones in this batch because not only is it a really great sculpt on the costume and everything there, but the new face print looks really good on that head sculpt. I just think that she's gorgeous. Absolutely. I really, really love it. So definitely an upgrade if you want to get an improvement over what has been released previously. This Leia is definitely a great buy in this particular set. And that, of course, brings us over to Han. Now, Han is tricky because it feels like Harrison Ford just has a really tough likeness to capture. But this does look a bit better than what we got previously. You can definitely see, especially at some angles, I think the Harrison Ford likeness is pretty good. At other angles, it's off. And I've always found that to be the case with a lot of these figures. You can actually see he's got like the scar on his chin there. So they did a pretty good job of putting that on there. It's pretty nice all in all. And again, it's still a good figure as far as the body and the costume and everything goes there. Of course, troopers are always a good thing to have, right? The TIE fighter pilot, the AT-AT driver, it's always good to get more Imperials to bolster out the collection. These guys are obviously wearing helmets, so it's a little bit different than using the likenesses, the face printing technology. These guys already looked pretty good before, but if you want to be able to get more of these guys to add to your collection, this just gives you the chance to do so. Okay, so now we're talking about some of the new figures here, and obviously these are going to be some of the more exciting, I think, if you're hoping to get something brand new for the collection. The Hoth Rebel soldier here actually looks fantastic. He's got a really great face there. The overall design of the body, the costume is fantastic. You can see kind of the backpack here. You can see we've got a holster on the side for a hand blaster. We've got the two-handed blaster rifle there. He's got kind of the softer, pliable plastic on the lower portion of the coat, so you should know what to expect as far as articulation goes. I think it works really good. In fact, the joints are super tight. I mean, he's got those double knees there, real tight joints on the knees. Very similar boots to what we've got over here on our snowspeeder pilot Luke, which I haven't shown you yet, so we're going to look at that here in just a minute. But this is really cool. So he's got like this handkerchief that hangs around his neck that I had to put on separately. I actually popped off the head. I figured that was the best way to do it, and it just kind of fits over the neck there when you put the head back on. But the goggles are pretty cool because you see how they're up here on the bill of his hat. Well, this is actually like elastic here, so you can stretch those goggles around and actually put them on his face. Now, I do worry, of course, about the elastic stretching out. Here, I gotta even find the right position. There we go. But look at that. You can actually put the goggles on his face, which I thought was a really nice touch. In fact, if there's one thing I wish that they could have done here is given us a few different heads. That way we had different faces, different head sculpts, because having the combination of the goggles on, the goggles off, maybe a couple different faces, it'd be a really cool way if we wanted to build out a Hoth Rebel soldier army for display. So we've only got the one face, which is, a bit of a bummer, but still, it's a really nice figure overall. I do think the goggles are a really nice touch, and it's really cool getting to add this character to the 6-inch lineup. So that brings us over here to our snow speeder pilot, Luke Skywalker, which is really, really nice. And of course, I can imagine this is going to be a popular one since we do also have the snow speeder coming out at the 6-inch scale. So big, massive snow speeder that we can put Luke in here. Really great, wearing the orange pilot's uniform there. Again, he's got the bulkier boots, like the snow boots and everything going on with the white vest and everything. But one of the things I thought was really, really nice here was the helmet and the way that this is done, because it's not just molded on. It's not part of the head sculpt. You can actually remove the helmet, and it is kind of a tight fit, but that's good because it doesn't look too bulky while he's wearing it. So we got to kind of move the chin strap up here. There we go. We can pull the helmet off. Really nice looking helmet. I think that's fantastic. But look at that. And then we've got Luke underneath there. You can see he's got the cap on that he would wear underneath the helmet. Pretty decent likeness going on there. In fact, here, let's compare our two Lukes side by side. The skin tones are a bit of a different color, but the faces do look very similar. So this is a really nice figure. I think this one's pretty fantastic. I love the helmet. I think it looks awesome on the figure. I love that it's removable. Of course, he does also come with his own lightsaber there, which again, slightly different. Like, look at that. The blue is a little lighter than the blue that's on the Bespin Luke saber. It's pretty interesting. In fact, the sizes of the hilts are completely different. Look at that. The Bespin Luke's hilt is longer. Really interesting considering it's supposed to be the same lightsaber. But all in all, I think the Hoth Snow Speeder Pilot Luke is a pretty nice addition to this lineup. So there you guys go. There is just a quick look at all of the figures available in the 40th Anniversary Empire Strikes Back Star Wars Black Series collection. It's a good batch of figures. It really is. And like I said, even though a lot of these figures have already been released previously, at least this gives you a chance to upgrade the figures that are already in your collection if you want some of the better looking faces. I do feel like some of these sculpts are a bit overused at this point. I want to see a better Yoda. I want to see a better R2-D2. Just some of those things I'd love to see some improvements on. Also, if I might say while I'm at it, I would love to see the 6-inch Black Series give us more droids and more aliens. We have had these humans over and over again. I feel like we've had Luke and Han and Leia ad nauseum at this point, and I love them. They're great characters, but man, the aliens and the droids are what makes Star Wars great, am I right? That's what made the old Kenner line so fun to collect. So anyway, I will step off my soapbox now about the droids and the aliens, because this really is a very nice set of figures, all in all. I really love that Snow Speeder pilot Luke Skywalker. I think he's fantastic. The Hoth Rebel Soldier is another great addition to the lineup, and these are definitely good figures to get if you need some new characters to round out your collection, or like I said, you're wanting to upgrade some of those figures that have already been released previously. Once again, very special thanks to the folks over at Hasbro for sending this box along, allowing me to unbox all these figures and get a look at them here on video. These should be hitting store shelves right now and should be available at your favorite online retailers. Guys, thank you so very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button, leave me a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time.